Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Settle in, get comfortable, and let the outside world fade away. Before we begin tonight's journey, I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you. If you want the full continuation of these stories, more uncensored 18-plus Ancient BL content, extended scenes, and unlimited royal forbidden romance, you can join us on Patreon at SpicyAncientBL. As you know, YouTube does not allow us to show or monetize everything freely here, so the deeper, darker, and much more intense versions of these stories are waiting for you over there. It's a space where we don't have to hold back. You can find the link in the description and in the pinned comment. I'd love to see you there. But for now, let's step back in time. Close your eyes if you want to. Imagine the bitter cold of a deep winter. The imperial capital is blanketed in thick, heavy snow, the kind of snow that swallows all sound, making the sprawling, magnificent palace feel like a beautiful, golden cage. Inside the Great Hall of Supreme Harmony, it is not quiet, it is tense. The air is thick with the smell of burning incense and fear. Dozens of ministers, lords, and generals are kneeling on the polished jade floor, their foreheads pressed to the cold stone, not daring to breathe too loudly. And at the highest point of the room, seated upon a throne carved of dark wood and gold, is Emperor Jian. He is 24 years old. He has only been on the throne for 3 years, yet he has already earned the title of the Winter Dragon. He is terrifyingly calm. His face is a flawless, unreadable mask, his eyes as dark and cold as obsidian. He wears robes of deep crimson and black, embroidered with gold thread that catches the flickering candlelight. He is looking down at the man kneeling at the center of the hall. This man is not bowing. His name is General Ren. He is 25, and until a week ago, he was the commander of the Northern Rebel Army, the greatest threat to Jian's empire. Ren is covered in dirt, dried blood, and the ash of the battlefield. Heavy iron chains bind his wrists and ankles, clanking with a harsh, metallic sound every time he breathes. His black hair is unbound, falling wildly over his shoulders, framing a face that is strikingly handsome, fiercely proud, and completely unyielding. He stares up at the Emperor. There is no fear in Ren's eyes, only a burning, defiant fire. The ministers are whispering, they are demanding execution. They say the rebel general must be beheaded in the public square, that he must be made an example of. But what the ministers do not know, what no one in this massive, whispering court knows, is that 10 years ago, before the wars, before the betrayal, before the blood, Emperor Jian and General Ren were inseparable. They were childhood friends. They learned to ride horses together. They learned to hold a sword together. They used to sneak out of the palace gates to watch the lantern festivals, their shoulders brushing, their laughter mingling in the warm summer night. But then the old emperor grew paranoid. Ren's family was framed for treason, slaughtered in the night, and Ren was forced to flee. Jian had been locked in his quarters, powerless to stop it, screaming until his throat bled. Now, 10 years later, they are face to face. Emperor and traitor, captor and captive. Jian slowly raises a hand. Instantly, the vast hall falls into a dead, terrifying silence. Jian stands up. The rustle of his heavy silk robes is the only sound as he descends the jade steps, step by step, slower and slower, until he is standing right in front of Ren. Ren doesn't flinch. He tilts his chin up, his dark eyes locking onto Jian's. The tension between them is so thick it feels like a physical weight in the room. It's electric. It's a clash of hatred, memory, and something entirely unspoken. General Ren, Jian's voice is soft, smooth, yet it carries to the farthest corners of the room. It sends a shiver down the spine. You have lost. Ren smirks, a bitter, sharp curve of his lips. Then take my head, your majesty. It is yours. I only regret that my blade did not reach your throat first. The ministers gasp. The guards draw their swords. But Jian just looks at him. His eyes trace the sharp line of Ren's jaw, the cut on his cheek, the heavy chains digging into his wrists. For a fraction of a second, something desperate and painful flickers in the Emperor's eyes, but it is gone before anyone can see it. Execution? Jian whispers, leaning in just a fraction, so close that Ren can feel the warmth of his breath, smelling of jasmine tea and sandalwood. No, death is too easy for you, Ren. He straightens up and turns to the court. General Ren will not be executed, Jian declares, his voice ringing with absolute authority. He will be stripped of his military rank. He will remain in the inner palace. He will serve as my personal imperial guard. He will be at my side, day and night, until his debt to the throne is paid. The court erupts into chaos. A rebel, an assassin, serving as the Emperor's personal guard? It is madness. It is a death wish. But Ren just stares at Jian's back, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. What game is Jian playing? What kind of twisted torture is this? That night, the heavy iron chains are unlocked. Ren is taken to the hot springs in the inner palace. He is stripped of his blood-stained armor. Servants wash the dirt from his skin, tending to the cuts and bruises on his muscular chest and arms. When they are finished, they do not dress him in the coarse linen of a prisoner. Instead, they bring him robes of dark blue silk. The fabric is unbelievably soft, whispering against his bare skin. It feels like a mockery. He is led to the Emperor's private bedchamber. The room is vast, lit by dozens of flickering candles. The air is heavy with the scent of plum blossoms and incense. Ren stands by the heavy wooden doors, his hands resting naturally where his sword should be, though he is unarmed. The doors open, and Jian walks in. He has removed his heavy imperial crown. His long, dark hair cascades down his back like spilled ink. He wears only a thin, white silk inner robe that hangs loosely over his shoulders, revealing the strong lines of his collarbone. For a long moment, neither of them speaks. The silence in the room is deafening. Jian walks over to a small table and pours 2 cups of wine. He doesn't look at Ren, he just holds one out. Ren doesn't move. "Is it poisoned?" he asks, his voice rough. Jian finally looks up. His gaze is so intense, so dark, it makes Ren's breath catch in his throat. "If I wanted you dead, Ren, you would be rotting in the snow." Ren steps forward, closing the distance between them. He is slightly taller than Jian, broader in the shoulders. He reaches out and takes the cup, his fingers intentionally brushing against Jian's. Jian's breath hitches. A tiny, almost imperceptible sound, but Ren hears it. "Why am I here, Jian?" Ren asks, dropping the formalities, his voice dropping to a low, dangerous whisper. "You know I will kill you the first chance I get. I have to. For my family." Jian steps closer. He isn't afraid. He looks up at Ren, his eyes searching the face he hasn't seen in 10 years. "Then do it," Jian whispers back. He grabs Ren's wrist, the one holding the wine, and pulls it forward, pressing Ren's hand flat against his own chest, right over his racing heart. "Do it," Jian says, his voice breaking slightly. "Strangle me, break my neck, but until you do, you are mine. You belong to me. You will not leave my sight." Ren stares at him, completely frozen. Beneath his palm, he can feel the frantic, heavy beating of Jian's heart. He can feel the heat of Jian's skin through the thin silk. The anger in Ren's chest suddenly tangles with something else. Something warm, dangerous, and deeply forbidden. He pulls his hand away as if he's been burned. He steps back, his chest heaving, his eyes locked on the Emperor. Jian watches him, his expression hardening back into that cold, unreadable mask. "Stand guard by the door," Jian orders, turning his back, "and do not fall asleep." And so begins their torturous, silent dance. For the next few months, Ren becomes the Emperor's shadow. Where Jian goes, Ren follows. To the morning court, to the imperial library, to the private gardens. The ministers are terrified. They constantly watch the rebel general, waiting for him to draw a hidden blade and strike the Emperor down. But Ren does not strike. He stands quietly behind the throne, watching the way Jian rules. He watches how tired Jian looks when the ministers argue. He watches the way Jian rubs his temples when he has a headache. He notices that Jian still hates the taste of ginger in his food, secretly moving it to the side of his plate, just like he did when they were 15. The proximity between them is agonizing. It's the small things. When Jian reaches for a scroll on the desk, Ren reaches to hand it to him, their fingers brushing. The jolt of electricity that shoots up Ren's arm makes him clench his jaw. When it rains, they sit in the pavilion. The cold wind blows, and Ren, out of pure, deep-rooted instinct, steps forward to block the wind from hitting the Emperor. Jian notices. He always notices. He looks at Ren over the rim of his teacup, his dark eyes filled with an emotion he refuses to name. There is a slow-burning fire between them, a tension so thick you could cut it with a sword. They are enemies. They are captor and prisoner. Yet, every single night, when the doors of the bedchamber close, they are just 2 men alone in the dark. And if you are enjoying this forbidden royal tension, my friends, remember, the extended and uncensored 18+ continuation of these stories is available right now on Patreon at SpicyAncientBL. If you want to hear what happens when those bedchamber doors lock and the tension finally snaps, the link is in the description and pinned comment waiting for you. As spring approaches, the tension in the capital reaches a boiling point. The loyalist nobles are furious. They hate that a rebel general is standing so close to the dragon throne. They whisper that the Emperor has lost his mind. They plot. One evening, a grand banquet is held in the palace to celebrate the plum blossoms. The hall is filled with music, laughter, and flowing wine. Dancers in vibrant silks twirl in the center of the room. Jian sits at the head table, radiating cold authority. Ren stands just behind his right shoulder, dressed in a magnificent black uniform, his sharp eyes scanning the room. A powerful noble Minister Jiao stands up. He is holding a golden goblet of wine, swaying slightly, a malicious smile on his face. He walks toward the Emperor's table. Your Majesty, Minister Zhao slurs, raising his cup. We celebrate the spring, but looking at your pet dog standing behind you, it seems winter has not yet left the palace. The music stops, the room goes dead silent. Ren doesn't move a muscle, but his jaw clenches so hard it aches. Minister Zhao laughs, pouring a cup of wine and holding it out toward Ren. Come now, General. You were once a proud warrior. Now you are just a servant. Drink. Let us see the rebel dog obey his master. Ren's eyes darken. He looks at the cup. He is used to humiliation, but the pure venom in Zhao's voice makes his blood boil. He reaches out to take it. Crash. Jian stands up. He has kicked his heavy wooden table over. The dishes shatter across the floor. The Emperor's face is a mask of absolute, terrifying rage. Before anyone can react, Jian steps down, grabs Minister Zhao by the throat, and slams him against the nearest pillar. Your Majesty! The guards shout, rushing forward. Stay back, Jian roars, his voice echoing like thunder. He leans into the terrified minister's face, his grip tightening. Listen to me very carefully, Zhao, Jian whispers, his voice dripping with venom. He is my guard. He is my shadow. If you so much as look at him with disrespect again, I will have your tongue cut from your mouth and fed to the hounds. Do you understand? The minister, choking, nods frantically. Jian throws him to the floor in disgust. He doesn't look at the shocked nobles. He doesn't look at the dancers. He turns around, his chest heaving, his dark eyes locking onto Ren. Ren is staring at him, completely stunned. We are leaving, Jian commands, his voice tight. He storms out of the banquet hall. Ren follows, his mind racing. They walk through the dark, winding corridors of the palace, the rain starting to fall outside, drumming against the clay roof tiles. Jian walks fast, his silk robes snapping with every step. When they reach the private imperial library, Jian pushes the heavy doors open, walks inside, and Ren follows, shutting the doors behind them. The room is lit only by the pale moonlight filtering through the paper screens. Why did you do that? Ren demands, his voice low, stepping toward Jian. You just humiliated your most powerful minister to defend a traitor. Jian doesn't turn around. He stands by the window, his shoulders tense. You are not a dog, Ren. I am your prisoner. Ren shouts, the frustration of months of silent agony finally breaking out. I am your enemy. You should have let him insult me. You should let them kill me. Why do you protect me, Jian? Why did you bring me here? Jian spins around. The cold, perfect mask of the winter dragon shatters. He looks desperate. He looks exhausted. Because if I didn't bring you here, they would have ripped you to pieces on the battlefield. Jian yells back, his voice cracking. Do you think I don't know? My generals had you surrounded in the northern pass. They had orders to burn your camp to the ground. I ordered them to capture you alive. I threatened to execute my own commanders if you were harmed. Ren freezes. The breath leaves his lungs. What? Jian walks toward him, closing the distance until they are chest to chest. His breathing is shallow, ragged. He looks up into Ren's eyes, his own eyes shining with unshed tears. 10 years, Jian whispers, his voice trembling. For 10 years I had to sit on this throne and pretend I didn't care that you were gone. I had to smile at the men who murdered your family. I had to build an empire out of blood and ash, just so I could have enough power to finally bring you back to me. Ren stares at him, his heart pounding so hard he feels dizzy. Jian, he breathes out, stepping closer. I don't care if you hate me, Jian says, his voice dropping to a desperate whisper, his hands coming up to grip the fabric of Ren's uniform. I don't care if you want to kill me, Ren, but do not ask me to let you die. I can't, I won't. The silence that follows is deafening. Ren looks down at the man in front of him. He sees the ruthless emperor, but underneath it, he sees the boy he used to love, the boy who laughed with him under the summer stars, the boy who never, ever let him go. Without thinking, driven by a decade of suppressed longing, Ren raises his hands. He cups Jian's face. His thumbs gently brush over the sharp cheekbones. Jian gasps at the touch, his eyes fluttering shut, leaning into Ren's rough hands like a starving man offered bread. I could never hate you, Ren whispers, his voice thick with emotion. I tried. Gods, I tried to hate you. But every time I held my sword, I thought of you. Jian opens his eyes, looking up at Ren with an intensity that is absolutely blinding. Slowly, carefully, Ren leans down. He presses his forehead against Jian's. Their breath mingles. The smell of rain and sandalwood surrounds them. Ren's hands slide down to Jian's waist, pulling him flush against his own body. Jian lets out a soft, trembling sigh, his hands sliding up to tangle in Ren's long, dark hair. The distance between them is gone. The war is gone. The throne is gone. Jian, Ren breathes against his lips, the warning of a captive man about to cross the line of no return. Kiss me, Jian whispers, a desperate, breathless command. Please, Ren, kiss me. Ren crushes his mouth against Jian's. It is not a gentle kiss. It is desperate. It is hungry. It is 10 years of grief, anger, and burning desire exploding all at once. Jian gasps into the kiss, opening his mouth to let Ren in, his hands gripping Ren's hair so tightly it hurts. Ren backs Jian up until the Emperor's back hits the edge of a mahogany bookshelf. Scrolls tumble to the floor, but neither of them cares. Ren's hands roam over Jian's body, feeling the heat, the desperate way Jian arches into him, making soft, needy sounds in the back of his throat. The kiss deepens, becoming wet, heavy, and intoxicating. Jian's hands slide under Ren's uniform, feeling the hard, scarred muscles of the warrior's chest. Ren groans, lifting Jian up slightly by his waist, pulling him so impossibly close that they move as one shadow in the dark. For the first time in 10 years, the winter dragon melts. But their moment of forbidden peace is violently stolen. A loud, frantic banging echoes on the library doors. Jian and Ren break apart, chests heaving, lips swollen, their eyes wild with adrenaline and desire. Your Majesty, a guard shouts from outside, his voice panicked. Treason! Minister Zhao has opened the northern gates. The Imperial Guards have turned. They are marching on the inner palace. Jian's eyes instantly darken. The desperate lover vanishes, and the Emperor returns. He looks at Ren. Ren doesn't hesitate. He reaches over to a display stand in the corner of the library, grabs a long steel sword, and pulls it from its scabbard. The metal sings in the quiet room. He stands in front of Jian, his shoulders broad, his eyes deadly. No one touches you tonight, Ren says, his voice deep, gravelly, and vibrating with absolute conviction. Not while I breathe. Jian steps up beside him. He draws his own blade, a beautiful, thin sword of imperial steel. He looks at the man he loves, his heart swelling with a fierce, burning pride. We fight together, Jian says, a cruel, beautiful smile crossing his lips, just like the old days. They throw the doors open. The courtyard is in chaos. Rain is pouring down in sheets. Torches hiss in the wet air. Dozens of rebel guards, wearing the colors of Minister Zhao, are rushing up the jade steps, their swords drawn. When they see the Emperor, they roar and charge. What they do not expect is the demon standing beside him. Ren moves like lightning. He is a general of the north, a man who has survived 100 battles. He steps into the rain, his blade flashing in the torchlight. He cuts through the first two guards before they even realize he has moved. Blood sprays into the puddles. Jian fights with lethal, elegant precision. He ducks under a spear thrust, stepping in close to drag his blade across an attacker's throat. They fight back to back. It is a deadly, perfect dance. They don't even need to speak. When an enemy tries to flank Jian, Ren is already there, his sword sinking into the man's chest. When an archer aims at Ren from the balcony, Jian throws a dagger, taking the archer out before he can release the bowstring. The physical exertion is intense. They are soaked in rain and blood. Their breath comes in heavy, ragged gasps, but they are unstoppable. They are two halves of the same soul, forged in fire. In less than 20 minutes, the courtyard is quiet. The bodies of the traitors litter the jade steps. Minister Zhao, who had been hiding behind his men, is suddenly left alone. He falls to his knees in the mud, his eyes wide with terror as he looks up at the Emperor and the general. Ren steps forward, his sword dripping with rain and blood. He raises his blade, ready to strike the traitor down. Wait, Jian says, his voice cutting through the rain. Ren pauses, lowering his sword just a fraction, looking back at Jian. Jian walks slowly down the steps. The rain washes the blood from his pale face. He looks down at Minister Zhao with absolute disgust. You called him a dog, Jian says quietly. You thought he was broken. You thought my empire was weak. Jian raises his own sword, resting the cold steel against Zhao's cheek. Take this message to the underworld, Jian whispers, his voice dripping with terrifying power. General Ren is not my servant. He is my equal. He is the other half of this throne. With one swift, merciless strike, Jian ends it. The courtyard falls completely silent, save for the sound of the heavy rain. Jian drops his sword. It clatters loudly against the stone. He stumbles slightly, suddenly overwhelmed by the adrenaline, the exhaustion, the blood. Ren drops his own weapon and rushes forward, catching Jian before he can fall. He wraps his strong arms around the Emperor, pulling him tightly against his chest, shielding him from the freezing rain. I have you, Ren whispers fiercely, burying his face in Jian's wet hair. I have you. You're safe. Jian grips the front of Ren's robes, burying his face in the crook of Ren's neck, taking in the scent of rain, sweat, and metal. He is shaking, but not from the cold. Don't leave me again, Jian whispers, his voice breaking. Never again. I swear it, Ren vows, kissing the side of Jian's head, his heart overflowing. I am yours. In this life, and the next, I belong to you. They stand there in the rain, holding each other in the center of the palace, amidst the bodies of their enemies. The war is over. The rebellion is crushed. The throne is secure. But as Ren pulls Jian back, looking down into those beautiful, dark eyes, he knows that their real story, their true, unrestrained, deeply passionate story, is only just beginning. He sweeps Jian up into his arms, carrying the Emperor up the jade steps, back into the dark, warm depths of the palace bedchambers, where the doors will close, the heavy silks will fall to the floor, and the rest of the night will belong entirely to them. My friends, if you want to know what happens when those doors close, if you want the uncensored continuation, the extended scenes, and the deeply passionate, unlimited 18+ version of this ancient royal BL story, come join us on Patreon, at SpicyAncientBL. YouTube forces us to fade to black, but over there, the tension, the heat, and the story never have to stop. The link is waiting for you in the description and in the pinned comment. I cannot wait to share the rest of their night with you. Thank you for listening, my friends. Until next time, stay immersed and sleep well.